Hello and welcome to SEGA News Bits. I'm Barry, with me is George.
Hello, everyone.
And once again, we are talking about Daytona 3 Championship USA. And the reason why we're talking about it again on SEGA News Bits is because the official teaser trailer has finally hit. We've seen it. We're hoping you've seen it. We're playing some clips here now. You can also view it on our YouTube channel. George, what was your first reaction when you saw this teaser trailer?
I think they did a really good job. They picked, obviously, classic music to get us all nostalgic. And, the trailer looks fine. It's just a little short. It doesn't show too much. We have gameplay footage, which we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But, yeah, it looks great. At least the trailer looks great. I think they did a good job with the teaser.
Yeah, it definitely scratches that nostalgic itch, because it kicks off with the footage from the original Daytona. Some people might be perturbed that it skips 2 and goes right to 3, but let's be honest, 2 was a great game, but it didn't, no one talks about the tracks from 2 still. People aren't like, oh, that track from Daytona 2 and that car from Daytona 2, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Even I'm having trouble remember, what was it, the Stallion or something like that?
I have no idea. I also think that the fact that it was never on a console also kind of affected that.
Yeah, I also feel like it wasn't very prevalent, but Daytona 3, the teaser trailer, it's not in 60 frames per second, which I don't know if maybe that was a drawback from posting it on stuff like Facebook and Twitter, because I don't believe they posted it on their YouTube channel. But when you see this thing in person, it's 60 frames per second. There's some really nice touches. There's super reflective details, very colorful courses. It could be argued that the courses are stark, that there's not a lot going on. But then again, this is Daytona. We're not talking about Cruisin' USA where they overly design things and you have like palm trees dipping over the track and like weird giant crazy balloons in the sky and jumps and all these things. I feel like people need to go back and look at the original Daytona again and then look at this game, because I feel like they're really hitting the look of the series. What are your thoughts on that?
The fact that there's not that much going on for the tracks?
Yeah.
I feel like it doesn't really need that. I think if the controls are down and they have the racing elements fine, I think that's what people really wanted, right? So I don't think it should be that big of a deal.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are looking at stuff like 90s Arcade Racer and saying, oh, that's nailing Daytona more than Daytona 3's nailing Daytona. I'd argue that it's taking more cues from the Cruisin' series. I feel like they're a little too colorful, a little too overly designed. It still looks like a fun game, talking 90s Arcade Racer, but let's not act like that's a true Daytona successor, because it's its own thing, and I feel like it's bringing in a lot of other titles. People might hate me for that, but, we need to have... we can't all agree.
And let's talk about the real thing that a lot of people have issues with, the graphics.
Yes.
So what do you think about the graphics?
I think they're fine. I think they suit the game. I've been saying a lot that I feel like people think that Daytona 3 needs to do the exact same thing the first one did, which is blow us away. But you have to remember, the first Daytona, which we actually covered in our Sega Talk podcast, it's a game that was kind of a first. It was doing a lot of things you really didn't see in arcades. And so, of course, it blew us away. Now we're in an era where we have stuff like Forza, we have stuff like Gran Turismo. Is that the right game? Yeah. And, those games have blown us away. And now you're looking at, Daytona 3. Do you expect Daytona 3 to outdo what we've seen on the Xbox One? Should it be outdoing what we've seen?
No.
Yeah, because a hyper-realistic Daytona is no longer Daytona.
And you also have to think about it in a business perspective. Like, we as fans want the best, right? We want to be like amazed the way we were amazed back in the good old days, I guess they would say. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to happen because arcades aren't as big. Like, everybody said this in the comments in the last video we did. Like, arcades aren't as big, so you can't spend a budget like you used to in the golden age of arcades.
Right.
So if you want to have sequels to these kind of games, you're going to have to give something, and I guess this time it's the graphics, right?
Yeah, but even then the graphics look really sharp. and colorful. And like I said, I feel like they are nailing that Daytona aesthetic. Another thing that it fails to be represented in the teaser trailer, which you can see from the footage from the expo that Arcade Heroes attended, is this thing looks really cool, like in action. When you're sitting in the seat, there's a bunch of lights. There's I guess there's like an engine under your ass. Like you look at it and there's like this like clear box and you see this engine under your butt. There's force feedback. There's a in-game camera system, so you can actually see the other players showing up in little cameras, and you can, flip them off, make faces, whatever, have fun. So there's a lot more than just the game. You got to remember that these aren't things that are just sat on your home console and you're there alone holding your controller. This is something you're in a social setting. You're there with up to 8 people, and you're all racing. There's lights, there's sounds, there's these cameras. So there's a lot more going on. And I have never seen someone sit in an arcade and play one of these games and then go, the graphics aren't really doing it for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, then get out of the arcade, Mr. No Fun.
Exactly. And I think even Daytona 1 right now is still popular. And it's not because, the graphics are state-of-the-art graphics. People are playing it because they have fun playing it.
Exactly. The one thing I did want to talk about is the shifter. What do you know about this?
It's supposed to be a 4-way shifter or something in the original arcade, right?
Yeah, on this, apparently this is a prototype that they're showing off, so it's possible they could change the shifter. I don't think it's a deal breaker because I'm one of those losers who always play as manual. Or automatic, I'm sorry, I always play automatic. But manual, I can see it working with the shifter they have, the 2-way. I understand that the 4-way is a bit more iconic. So I hope they implement that in the final release.
Yeah, me too. And if they don't, they could always update the cabinet. But I don't know. I think this is the final one. It looks too good to not be a final one.
True. So what do you think about the recently released teaser trailer? Do you like what you see? Do you not like what you see? Sound off in the comments below. And thanks for watching.